Well, I finally got around to finishing the Season 1 reward track for PvP and SWTOR, and I have very conflicted thoughts on this new system, so let's talk about it. First off, I'm coming at this from the perspective of someone who doesn't play SWTOR for its PvP. It's something I enjoy doing, but it isn't my driving motivation to play the game. As such, I have to say one of the major successes of this system is that it got me to engage with PvP way more than I ever have in the past. It gave me clear goals to work towards, and as a result, I got properly into PvP for the first time, and I can genuinely say I enjoyed it a lot. The system does have its downsides, but let's talk about the positives first. Starting with the straightforwardness of the reward track. Everything is clearly laid out and the weekly objectives are easy to understand. The streamlined nature of the system no doubt makes it very approachable to casual players, and I think this is a great way to get new players into PvP. They can simply look at the reward track, see the cool armor set, and immediately know how to get it. Just like Galactic Seasons, the clear and straightforward nature of this reward track makes it very satisfying to work your way through it. Speaking of that really cool armor, I actually really like the cosmetics that are associated with this season, especially the armor set. While it's far from the strongest set in the game, it has a number of really unique pieces, like the helmet or the gloves, that I can definitely see myself using in many different outfits in the future. I even got the green variant from the seasonal vendor because the white glow looks so cool. The decorations and the titles were fine, but the armor was easily the star of the show for me. The other reward for this season are the PvP tokens that can be traded in for additional items or retired PvP items. I have no idea if these tokens are new with this season or not, but I love that I will be able to get these old items at some point down the line, and the tokens make for a great filler reward. Additionally, I like that if you get the achievements associated with this season, you can get even more of these tokens. However, it's only 8 extra, so it really doesn't seem like it's worth the grind, but I like the idea and concept. Finally, I really like that in order to progress the reward track, you can do either war zones or arenas, and you don't have to do both. I like arenas well enough, but I definitely prefer war zones overall, so I really appreciated being able to play whatever I wanted. Also, as a result, I pretty much only did war zones after the first week, so that's the perspective I'll be coming at this from. While I understand people's frustration with the removal of ranked PvP, as someone who was never going to do ranked, I vastly prefer this system because it gives me a reason to do PvP without needing to get hyper competitive. And overall, I think this more casual system makes the most sense for the type of game that SWTOR has become. Season 1 of this system captured me, however I have my doubts that Season 2 will do the same. While I had a great time with this season, I do have a number of issues with the system as a whole, the biggest one being the grind. Each week, you can get up to 1,000 points. You can complete 4 weekly objectives, which will give you 100 points each, and you get 2 points per medal earned in a game up to 8 medals, and that score is multiplied by 3 if you win. So, assuming you get 8 medals per game, you would get 16 per loss and 48 per win. The issue is that getting the full 1,000 points each week takes many hours of farming war zones or arenas, and to be blunt, it's just too much. People who play SWTOR mainly for its PvP might think this grind feels good, but personally, I really don't like that completing my PvP progress takes probably more than triple the amount of time it takes to finish my Galactic Season objectives each week. Over the past 2 months or so that I've been engaging with this system, the vast majority of my playtime has been spent on PvP. Completing the weekly Warzone objectives is great. They require you to play a minimum of 8 war zones while winning 3 of those games and getting 8 medals or more in at least 4, which I think is fairly reasonable. But completing these weekly objectives will generally only get you a little over 500 points. Then the real grind begins. You could go to arenas, but you'll only be able to get credit for 1 of the 3 arena weeklies, so it's not terribly more efficient, and on a personal level, I'd rather just stick to war zones. At which point, you'll need to win 10 more war zones in order to finish. Not play 10 more war zones, win 10 more war zones. Which in my opinion is just way too much, as it means you may well need to do more than 20 war zones to complete your progress for the week. Not only does this take too long, it's also really frustrating. Thanks to the 3 times multiplier on victories, losses feel really bad as comparatively you're making almost no progress. That issue is compounded by the fact that PvP in this game is very team-oriented, and you won't be able to win the game if you have bad teammates who don't play objectives, not to mention that pre-mades often dominate games. This makes the entire 500 to 1,000 point experience awful. Now, I'm sure many people would just say, join a pre-made group. On one hand, this is an MMO, so encouraging players to join groups is a good thing, but the way things are set up right now doesn't just encourage people to join groups. It punishes you for playing on your own. While it might be nice to say that people should just play in groups, that simply isn't how most people play MMOs, and systems like this are more likely to drive people away than actually get them to group up. So I have a number of issues with this system, but what are the solutions? First off, I would say make the weekly cap attainable by just completing 3 of the weeklies. Doing 8 war zones is plenty to ask of regular players each week. To incentivize people to keep playing, instead of just having the cap at 1000, I'd make it so if you get an extra 500 points after hitting the weekly cap, you get extra resources and a PvP token. That could even be available multiple times a week, or hell, it could even be endless. That would allow for extra gameplay while not forcing it on players who just want to complete the reward track. I'd also say make it so players can miss 3 or 4 sets of weeklies and still be able to complete the reward track before time runs out to reduce the fear of missing out associated with the system. Allowing players leeway is something this first season did really well, and I wouldn't want that to change. Ultimately, I think it would be great if these reward tracks never went away, and you could progress any of them whenever you want. Heck, do it for Galactic seasons too, but I know that probably isn't going to happen. I'd also massively increase the amount of points players receive for losing a game. Winning should give enough points so players want to win, but I don't think it should be so much that losing feels like a waste of time. Boosting the point cap for losing to 32 would make a massive difference in that regard. There are tons of different changes I could suggest, but at the end of the day, I think the system should just demand less time of the player and not punish you as aggressively for losing. Unless I'm mistaken, the goal of this system is to attract more casual players, and speaking as a casual player, it presently demands too much. Other games can get away with systems like this because they have a massive variety of maps and game modes, but SWTOR just doesn't. So having players do the same small pool of war zones and arenas for hours and hours each week will burn people out, and that is exactly what happened to me. I was loving the system and really enjoying the PvP, but about halfway through, I was really getting tired of doing the same war zones and I just wanted to finish getting my points and be done. I want this to be a system that consistently brings me back to the game to enjoy the PvP, but in spite of its positives, it's just too grindy right now, and if I'm feeling that way, I have no doubt others are too. I realize I probably came across a little negative there, but the good news is that with some numbers tuning, this system can be a fantastic reward structure for SWTOR, and I hope it evolves into that. There is so much potential here, and I can't wait to see what the devs do with it. Whether I take part in Season 2 and future seasons is largely going to be down to what changes get made to the system. And if we're being honest, how good the cosmetics are. With all that said, I would love to hear your thoughts on this system. What did you all think of Season 1, and are you planning on playing Season 2? Let me know in a comment down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more SWTOR videos as well as video essays about other media, join the Discord if you're interested, and I will see you all next time. Bye.